Now we're ready to sew. Begin at the top 3 bar with a starting knot. It's exactly like a pickup with an extra turn. Work side to side. Finish a complete row of meshes. Then move down half a mesh and reverse directions. Your goal is to create 4-sided meshes all the way down. If you get confused, stop and ask yourself what next move will complete another 4-sided mesh. Keep a couple of rules in mind. From a sider, always check for a pickup on the bottom. And remember, a sider always changes your direction. Work back across the hole, making 4-sided meshes until you reach another sider. Drop down half a mesh and reverse directions. End on the 3 bar at the bottom. The ending knot is another double sheet bend. Treat the bottom 3 bar like a pickup, but make an extra turn. When the damaged area is large, it often makes more sense to patch a hole than to sew it by hand. Square off the damage, removing all the 3 bars. Count the number of meshes missing in each direction, and cut a patch 1 mesh shorter each way. You will add a half a mesh to each side as you sew it in. Begin sewing in a corner. The pickup you start on becomes the 3 bar you end on. Somebody else can work the other way. The classic tear on a trawl occurs in the belly where the webbing was hung up on the bottom and a flap of web folds inside the net. Fold the flap back into the net and start mending where it's attached to undamaged mesh. Gill net requires more secure knots because the material is slippery. Add an extra turn to each of the knots you've just learned to make double sheet bends. For example, a pickup on top looks like this. Or like this. Measure gill net meshes against existing bars. Pickups on the bottom also require an extra turn. And siders get an extra turn. Starting knots look like this. Start sewing at the top 3 bar and work side to side, making double knots. End on the bottom 3 bar. Here's how a left-hander makes the starting knot. Always handle the needle with one hand like this. Working left to right, the needle enters from in front. These are pickups above going right. Here's a cider on the right. And a pickup below going left. Going left, the needle enters from behind. Here are pickups above going left. Now watch a cider on the left. Here are pickups below and above, going right. And here's a left-handed ending knot. Hang netting from above, making sure the bites run side to side. Trim the hole so there's one 3-bar on the top and one 3-bar on the bottom. Begin and end on these knots. Remember, starting and ending knots get 2 turns. Going left to right, the needle enters from the back. Right to left, it enters from the front. For left-handers, these directions are reversed. Measure small meshes against your hand. Larger meshes and gill net should be measured against existing bars. Work side to side, top to bottom, making 4-sided meshes. When patching, square off the damage and cut a patch 1 mesh smaller in each dimension. Flaps of netting should be folded back in place. Begin sewing where the netting is still attached. When sewing gill net, each knot gets an extra turn.